Hi, I'm Jason Gore for ThatShelf.com, and we're here to look at and celebrate and mourn Vinyl Me, Please.
Shelf.
So we got the email today. It's a long time coming. A lot of people have been discussing it. Vinyl Me, Please has been sort of a mainstay of my vinyl collection. I signed up in 2018, right when I was, as it were, getting back into the hobby. I was a little bit late to this particular story. They had done the Essentials series as a subscription, and it really sort of, and I got a bunch of those that we can show off here. Got a lot. This is my VMP collection. The box sets are down there. We'll sort of deal with that as we go through systematically. This might be a long video, but I'd want to do this for some time. The idea was spectacular. It was to produce really strong records, give them to you as a sort of monthly subscription, just like a magazine, and to actually provide me with titles that otherwise I potentially would never have bought. It was an extraordinary chance for me, especially when the classics came out, to get really good pressings of a bunch of music that frankly I would normally never have done. Now, we've seen this since then in other series, obviously, sort of simultaneous. Things like the Atlantic 75 series, things like the Blue series, the Verve series, all of these different elements. But this was different in the sense that with actually reasonable shipping to here in Canada, I would once a month get a box, and I didn't know what the record was, and it was something to celebrate. I would get pretty extraordinary liner notes. I would get essentially the trappings of a collection, and it allowed me to greatly expand certain facets of my music taste in ways that were curated. And as somebody who's a critic and I guess now a programmer, this is something that actually really meant a lot to me. There seemed to be a real strong community of real passionate people sort of running the company and actually making it happen. Now, we all know that there's lots of stuff to complain about. There's some certain elements that they had in terms of their customer service, which wasn't always great. There'll be plenty of times to actually talk about how they got to this particular circumstance. It seemed as short as a couple months ago, it seemed that things were really on the up. They had, there was all this discussions, I guess, over a year ago, that they're going to be making their own pressing plant, wooing away major participants, particularly from the Analog Productions team. They were going to be sort of doubling down. They had expanded their actual series of what they're doing, and then they ran into sort of post-COVID issues. Happens when the vinyl community in general goes through all kinds of changes. They're going to be reducing it down, and then I guess several months ago I got a real distressing email saying they were killing all of their international subscribers. Now, I've been a subscriber since 2018. I have every version of their classics. My subscription actually ends June 1st, so it's April and May I was sort of expecting to come, and I thought I might slip in just before the dollars got shuttered, but just today I got the email saying they're in a receivership. You have until October to sign up for that. I log into VMP right now and actually says that my May record's sort of on the way. So who knows what's actually going on with that. For all I know, the last two records that I'm supposed to get are really the last two records of this period. If I lose out on these on the prepayment that I've done for these two, it's frustrating, but it's sort of indicative of what's going on. What's also happened, which a lot of people may not be aware of, is that they've sort of went back and realized they'd totally screwed up, apparently. And the way that they had been sending stuff, I guess over DHL, they had been, I don't know if they've been undercharging or simply decided to cheapen out even more. But it meant for my last shipments, there was considerable extra charges on duty and customs, all of which could be avoided if we actually sort of prepay some of this stuff, the way that some other shipments have been done for other companies. But they basically, for years, it would be that it would be sent essentially through postage rather than courier. When that shifted, suddenly I was paying upwards of $20, $25 on top of what I had already paid for the record, on top of shipping and all of that stuff. That was increasingly frustrating. So I had been looking at as recently as last week, of a solution about potentially finding US addresses to continue my subscription, because I really love the idea. I love the quality. I love the titles that they had actually picked. There's numerous elements that we actually have that we'd actually go through. And here we are, just getting the email saying essentially VMP is in receivership. If you want your money back, do it by October, and with no guarantees whatsoever, I'm going to get the records that I've been promised, let alone new ones to actually subscribe to. You go on the website, you can actually buy stuff and add to cart now. I literally have no idea what happens with any of those stuff, so I can continue to hold out hope that these sort of last two titles will come, but we will see. Anyway, I thought I'd sort of celebrate rather than completely trash this company that's going through all this challenging times. This entire top row here, these are all VMP releases, including the box sets in the corner over here. I've done plenty of videos here upon a bunch of these boxes. It's sort of probably hard to hear. We have the Miles Davis, the Cadet, the story of Philly, the Herbie Hancock. We have the story of Stax Records. We have this one, which is extraordinary, this Women of Motown box set. Really astonishingly great sets. Fantastic packaging. This is VMP A002, their anthology. I loved these sets. These were sort of above and beyond what we would expect. They had podcasts that were actually up on Spotify after they actually dealt with the fact that there were sort of downloads, and those didn't always work. But with these sets, you're getting just some tremendous records that otherwise are extremely hard to find. The Herbie Hancock set that, again, we have reviewed on the site. Please look at the link below in the description. You're just getting records that I had waited years to actually get, and plus some really good pressings for that. The Miles Davis one, really awesome. The Philly record, and sort of tucked in here, if I sort of pull this out as carefully as possible, it's probably hard to see. I'm not going to get it from this angle, unfortunately. But it's the Zamrock set. And the Zamrock set, which I got the second pressing of, is absolutely music that I would never, ever have picked up any other way. But because it was presented in a curatorial fashion, because it was done that way, and because it was done by these guys, I sort of trusted it. I understand that it's, like with the Cadet stuff, it's been done in collaboration with other sort of independent record places. Kudos to them. Probably there could have been an opportunity for me to have dove into the Zamrock stuff from the people that were actually doing all the other releases. But the fact of the matter is, it was so simple. It's part of my subscription already. It gave me a discount because I was a subscribed member, and it was just an impetus to actually pick up music that otherwise I would not have known about, and music that I deeply love and listen to all the time. And that's what VMP truly was. And I really want to focus on this video on that. As I said, I am absolutely able to rip on this company, to rip on the problems that they have, to talk about how they didn't really treat international subscribers with a sort of delicacy that they, delicacy, is that the word? Delicateness? There we are. With the, frankly, respect that those of us that have been subscribers for many years and given thousands of dollars to them, they could have done it in a little bit more tactful way. There's a good word. So there's time for anger right now. I am just taking a moment to actually celebrate the music that I have and will continue to have. The joy of physical media. It's not like I signed up for a streaming service and all went away immediately. Speaking of, I got to find a way to actually save these podcasts that actually go with my with my subscription, because those could go away. Who knows what the rights issues are going to be for the box sets. Anyway, I wanted to sort of start out here. I sort of pulled this out. My sorting here is a little bit weird. But yeah, it Serve You Right to Suffer, the John Lee Hooker. This was the first of the VMP classics. This is the second, the repress of it. And yeah, just this has now received a bunch of audiophile releases, but like right from the get-go, the Vinyl Me Classics, it was doing real excellent stuff. Let's just pull some of these out and see how many, just look at a few of them anyway. Attica Blues, Archie Shepp. Again, not a huge collector of blues, and this, almost the entirety of my blues collection is entirely down to VMP. But these lovely gatefolds, they included additional materials. And you can see they switched up. This is the one where they had this sort of pattern on the side. They didn't keep that consistent, which, you know, potentially sort of annoyed some people. But at some point in time, I sort of got used to it. This is, again, Pharoah Sanders, sort of totally wild jazz. Journey in Satchidananda. Should know that, but I don't. Alice Coltrane, Pharoah Sanders, Tulsi, Vishnu Wood, Cecil McBee, Charlie Hayden, Rashi Ali, and Majid Shabazz. Total avant-garde jazz. Not something I normally would have picked up, but something that I absolutely loved sort of diving into and taking a listen to. Max Roach, Percussion Bittersweet. Classic Max Roach. You know, before I didn't get the Impulse set, but like this is one of, other than Coltrane, this is one of my first sort of other Impulse records. Max Roach stuff is unbelievably good. And again, presented in a lovely way. The records themselves press super well. And again, I'm bouncing back and forth, but the essentials, I mean, their thing. I mean, I'll just pull one of these out and see if we have it. Just a random one. Is this? Yes. So the Stevie Nicks. Let's see if it's actually here. So you got Stevie Nicks. So here's Belladonna, the essentials. It's what? Essentials E089. And what they included with this, and I was kind of made fun of, is this was basically for people, you know, who are just building a record collection. So they were just getting a whole bunch of everything. But you would get, occasionally you would get sort of title cards like this, which was nice. And that's what you got. Whereas the classics, you would actually get an essay. You'd actually get extended liner notes. Try to find one of these. This is Loretta Lynn. This is The Country. Again, includes this sort of thing. I mean, sure, I'll have this. It's a benefit, but I much prefer the actual essays that are inside the other ones. I have their Buena Vista Social Club. What do we have here? This is Mavis Staples. I don't know if this is one of the ones that includes this. Again, a card. And just from an individual graphic designer, this is the kind of thing that you got from these. And for others, you actually got liquor recipes, like cocktail recipes. It's like, okay. Whereas, as I said, I much preferred what we would actually get with these when we would actually get the bonus material that was actually indicative, sort of like a booklet on Criterion. And very much like Criterion, numbered collection, whatever they came out with. I was getting monthly, but the other stuff would actually fill in. All the Nightingales. And again, there's the type of booklet we got. This sort of printed, small little book. You know, elegant. Some people complained about this, said it was ruining the records, but I never had that issue. I realize I have to re-sleeve this. But yeah, this sort of the early classic stuff, really lovely. Let's sort of dig through here. Carla Thomas, like an unbelievably good Carla Thomas record, and one that would have been really challenging to get. All, you know, inevitably there was a stack set that had a bunch of stuff, but Come For Me by Carla Thomas, unbelievably good record. And then others are like, you know, would I have picked them up otherwise? Probably not, but am I really happy to have them? Absolutely. Jazz Samba by Stan Getz, right? There's no way I would have just bought this just randomly as a random Stan Getz record, but here it is, part of my collection, part of my listening library in order to do this. Same thing, more blues, Waiting for Little Milton, right? Stacks, the booklet. What do we got here? We have this Coco Taylor record. This was from what I understand, this on Alligator, this was apparently quite a rare record at the time. The re-release, other people have done it since, but I've got what it takes, you know, on good vinyl. Really nicely done. All right, and then check this out. I mean, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, right? The VMP Classics, the final tour in Paris. Just absolutely astonishing, this stuff. Miles, Coltrane, Wynton Kelly, Paul Chambers, Jimmy Cobb at the Olympia in Paris, France. So this is done with Sony Legacy. This is part of their main Legacy series. Just a beautiful, beautiful thing sent right to my door. Didn't have to go anywhere. The record just showed up without me even asking for it. Let's see how many of these we can go through before we get tired of it. Probably a lot of them. We have this William Bell, The Soul of a Bell. again, with the booklet in the back. We have the Lightman Plus One Energy Control Center. You're like, what the hell is this? Why do I have this? Well, there it is. Revolutionary spiritual jazz from the unlikely city of Houston, Texas, the definitive issue. I mean, absolutely wild stuff. Some people say, like, why the hell do I need this? I mean, like, I need this because otherwise I never would have done that. And this is just a way of me expanding, frankly, my musical vocabulary, the stuff that I like, the stuff that I'm listening to. Let's do it this way. It's probably a better way to do it. We have Daryl Banks, Here to Stay, with the booklet. We have this amazing record, the Sol Makossa, right? Unbelievable record. Comes again with the booklet. We have this James Booker record, the Lost Paramount tapes. We have Juju's Alchemy of the Blues poems. I mean, this one's totally wild. This is actually spoken word poetry and jazz at the same time. We have Donald Byrd's Fancy Free. We have Eddie Floyd's Knock on Wood. Amazing record. We have Fathers and Sons by Muddy Waters. Again, just a killer Muddy Waters Oath band. Michael Bloomfield, Paul Butterfield, Donald Duck Dunn, Sam Lane, Buddy Miles. Just ridiculous record. Absolutely amazing. Sort of a conversation between new and young jazz, blues greats, excuse me. This record, I mean, the Blossom Dearie record, I had only really known Blossom Dearie because of, I didn't even know I knew her because of Schoolhouse Rock. And this is what actually led me down a very deep sort of rabbit hole with Blossom Dearie, where I learned more and more about her. And it's that record that actually completely set me off on that guide. Left My Blues in San Francisco, Buddy Guy record. And then Oriental Jazz by Lloyd Miller. The first official vinyl reissue, heavyweight tip-on jacket, exclusive listening notes. Just crazy, wild record. Lots of really interesting timbres and all that stuff. And that's just the first box. I think I found a better way to do this. I wasn't going to pull them all out, but now I'm just all excited about looking at the titles and what better way to celebrate. Nat Turner Rebellion. Killer record. God, I love this record. I have dug out a bunch of their other recordings after this, but just a really amazing release. Laugh to Keep from Crying. This is VMP Classics 23. So here's 24. This is Call Me by Al Green. Now, this one is, you know, a little bit complicated because I already had a copy of it as part of an Al Green box set, but this release actually sounded a little bit better than was on my box. And again, with the liner notes, I wasn't so disappointed. This is one of the very few records that I've actually got through Classics that I already had. Nonetheless, it's actually nice to have here and worth celebrating. Sister Rosetta Tharpe, I mean, just a monster. What a killer, ridiculously great record this Gospel Train is. So beautiful. VMP exclusive vinyl edition, class of 2018 rock and roll. Phenomenal. C2025. Sorry, collection number 25. This Willie Lobo, Unos Dos Tres 1 2 3. Like, I would never ever got. I keep saying this, but it's true. I love that record a lot. Would I have been digging for some Willie Lobo? Absolutely unlikely. But the fact that it's here and the fact that it's part of my collection fills me with joy as a nonsense collector. Phenomenal record by the Isley Brothers. Go For Your Guns. Just great. Not all of them are home runs, but certainly in the early days, we were getting a lot of really spectacular things. Art Blakey, Freedom Rider, and the Jazz Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers doing Freedom Rider. Such an important and historically relevant record. It's great. Yeah, Silly and Johnny. As some would argue, the jewel of the Fania Records catalog. It's not like I had anything else from the Fania Records catalog, but this gave me a taste of these elements and brought it to my life. And this is wild here. Jazz Impressions of Japan by the Dave Brubeck Quartet? Yeah, not Quintet, Quartet. So used to Take 5. A Brubeck record other than the Brubeck record everybody probably has in their collection. Really interesting to actually listen to his what he's actually doing in that environment. Really phenomenal. Yeah, Lucille by B.B. King. You know, I guess I have a B.B. King greatest hits, but to actually listen to this as a full record is such a pleasure. And then, yeah, here we go. This is when we started getting stuff like this. This is Mr. Hands by Herbie. I had a bunch of Herbie. Obviously, everybody has Headhunters. I had a few others, but this was sort of for a taste into another era of his. Really phenomenal record and of one of my favorites. Look, this is a ridiculously great record. It's obviously Aretha doing her utmost, but in order to actually have it, so this was Ryan Smith lacquers, AAA, beautiful sleeves, and you're just getting this incredible sounding record in a pristine way, and just showed up at your door. What do we got here? Straight from the Heart. Patrice Rushen, Straight from the Heart. This is, again, not something I would normally pick up. This one's okay. It's not necessarily my favorite, but it's important for me that it's all part of the numbered collection as part of neurotic collecting things. But also, gave it a shot. Totally different than from what I normally go for. And I kind of responded to that, and I really enjoyed that. Immortal Otis Redding. Ridiculously great record. Just absolutely wild how they put this together. The story of this record is a whole nother video, but yeah, really fabulous stuff on it. Earl Gardner, Magician. I'm going to miss out on superlatives, so we'll just say that, for many people it's considered an absolutely integral record for their collection, and here it is, part of mine. Speaking of, Albert King, The King Does King's Thing. This is Albert King covering Elvis stuff. It's amazing. McCoy Tyner, Sahara. Again, not a huge McCoy Tyner fan, but this gives me a chance to actually dive into his discography in sort of a guided way. And then here we are, the Barquets. I mean, amazing stuff. Obviously, more Stax stuff. VMP exclusive vinyl. And this is the stuff we're getting. And then the Sonny Rollins, The Freedom Suite. Again, giant record. Super important record for the history of the genre. So more for themselves. Gabor Jajbo. Can't say his name. I really had not heard much about this guitarist. Just an incredibly important part of jazz history. And it wasn't until this record that it really opened my ears to this type of playing. Totally well. I knew Charlie Christian, I knew all these other people, but this John McLaughlin, but I had not been aware of their music until this release. Really meant a lot for me to actually pick that up. This one was wild. The Coleman Hawkins, The Hawk Flies High. This is one of the ones where they actually had a pressing error on the cover. I guess Stoughton style or Stoughton itself, and we actually got a replacement. I mean, this is back when the customer service was absolutely A+, and we're getting everything that we wanted out of them. Again, all with the booklet still included. There's Donny Hathaway, Everything is Everything. Ridiculously great record. There we are, Tough Guys by Isaac Hayes. One of the quote-unquote minor Isaac Hayes records, which means it's still a major record by anybody else's catalog. We have Frederick Knight, I've Been So Lonely for So Long. I love that track, and to hear more of the songs that was actually recorded for this era of Stax, absolutely lovely. Leon Ware, Musical Massage. I mean, look at the cover. It's sort of hard to get it in the light. There we are. Totally wild. AAA Lacquers, cut by Ryan Smith at Sterling. Just a bizarre record from Motown. What do you have? Charles Musselwhite's Blues Band, Tennessee Woman. I mean, great. This is a big deal for me. This is one of the ones that I actually had already, but this release of this record, the King Curtis Live, my dream is still to get the Aretha Live at Fillmore that Rhino did, the 3-disc set where you have 3 different performances done in 2 days. I want that on vinyl desperately. It's so extraordinary. Warts and all, just release it. But this is phenomenal record. One of my favorite live recordings ever is the Aretha at Fillmore, and this is obviously the sort of opening band or whatever, the same actually instrumentalist doing it. Just killer, killer, killer stuff. And much better than my first pressing for sure. And here we got some Dorothy Ashby, right? So this, the Rubaiyat of Dorothy Ashby, a Rubaiyat. I'm terrible at pronouncing this. I mean, there are others who do vinyl stuff that have worse pronunciation than me, than me. It's a rug. It really ties the room together. Just this totally wild space harpy stuff. Harpy, that's the wrong way of putting it. Space harp stuff, and the other record of hers, as it were, that people really respond to. Again, AAA, great lacquers, good release, and with a booklet. All of these with these colored booklets. Abby Lincoln, right? Totally never in a million years would I have picked this up. And this one happens to be played at QRP, who was doing a lot of these at the time. So yeah, this Bill Withers record, again, not the obvious Bill Withers record, but something that I'm really, really pleased to have included. The Adjustments record. Got some fabulous, fabulous tracks on this. And this is the Lee Morgan Quintet, take 12. Teddy Pendergrass, Life is a Song Worth Singing, right? I had no Teddy in my catalog, and this absolutely sort of opened that up. Really, really stunning vocal. Not my favorite music of all time, but he's such an incredible talent, and this was a way for me to sort of dive in as an album artist as opposed to the few select things that you actually see with his stuff. He did, obviously, as backup artist. Freddie King, My Feeling for the Blues. Again, another sort of a slew of blues records. These are all very important blues records. Totally ignorant about most of this stuff, but just gave me an opportunity to actually listen to Freddie King. And I should say, I mean, here I am most of the way through. You're like, oh my God, they're all so... Every time, once a month, these would come, I would have a separate listening element, and I would be sure to pull out the records and listen to them in full and take the time and do it properly. That's what I do. It was an excuse to listen to these records and to go through with the liner notes and with the booklet and all of that stuff, to treat them like a Book of the Month club or a film series or whatever. That's what these records did, and that's what we're losing. This Roberta Flack, Quiet Fire, again, a record I had a really inferior copy of. This is so, so good. The Ryan Smith AAA lacquers, stunning record of the late, great Roberta Flack. Just a really, really beautiful release. Yeah, Barbara Lee, Lee in Love. Knew nothing about this record. Still know very little about this record. But yeah, gave it a shot. It's got this amazing prestige gold label on it. And the booklet really helped me sort of dive into this music. Sylvester, Step 2. So you can see we're at 57 now. We're getting sort of into later 70s stuff. So most of the soul stuff I like is late 60s, early 70s. The later stuff, the stuff with Sylvester, etc., is less my thing. But so I wouldn't necessarily pick this up. But this is really, really lovely to listen to and actually learn from other elements other than the obvious. And there we have this Lightning Hopkins. I know so many people that think this is one of the greatest records ever made. It is sounds great. But yeah, this Lightning Hopkins record, AAA lacquers, cut by Ryan Smith. Boogaloo Joe Jones, No Way, on Prestige. Again, not a record I was familiar with at all, but something that just came along and actually allowed me to be educated. Same thing here, the Phineas Newborn Jr. Here's Phineas, right? Like, I would have been digging through and seen this cover, not necessarily picked it up. And here it is, all part of the whole sort of my education in blues and jazz, thanks to VMP. Johnny Taylor, Wanted One Soul Singer. Just great cover. That one's excellent. John Coltrane, Sunship. Again, not the obvious Coltrane. Really lovely production, a different way into Coltrane and his sound. Dinah Washington, For Those in Love. I Get a Kick Out of You, Blue Gardenia, Easy Living, all this stuff. AAA lacquers by Ryan Smith. fabulous. Dizzy Gillespie, Afro. I don't have a ton of bop. I don't have a ton of post bop by people like Dizzy. This is one of my only Dizzy records, thanks to this series. And then we have this. I mean, this is my copy of Ornette Coleman's Jazz of Things to Come. Sorry, Shape of Jazz to Come. One of the definitive jazz records of all time. And here it is as part of my collection. I got it from VMP. This would have been one that I think a lot of people actually had copies, but this is my definitive copy. AAA lacquers, got by Ryan Smith. Miles Davis, Star People. Again, I have a ton of Miles. I have almost all the Miles from MoFi. But this era of Miles is just a wild, wild era. This is 66, and it's just a different way of diving into that period of Miles. Yusuf Lateef, the Three Faces of Yusuf Lateef. Again, another horn player who I'm not familiar with at all other than in these series. It's one of those ones that like big jazz heads know. I was a horn player, but a bad one. So my way of actually diving into that. And yeah, Folk Singer by Dave Van Ronk. Brilliant. Obviously my connection to this record really stands through my connection with Dylan, but obviously inside Loon Davis as well. But this pressing of Folk Singer is a real gem, and it's such a beautiful rendition of this. As the AAA lacquers cut by Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound. By the time we're getting into like the 60s here of their releases, you're getting more and more obscure stuff, which again, I got no problem with. There are so many people who are like fetching about like, oh, we can get this record for $3 or whatever. If you dig for it, if you even knew that you were going to want it, and if you could find one in this condition, it's almost impossible. So here's Black Nasty, Talking to the People. Just a record still know almost nothing about, save for what I read in the booklet. Really cool. Another record which I had a really terrible version of, but this Hey Jude, absolutely fabulous. I mean, just killer Wilson Pickett record. Odell and the Blues. Again, by this point in time, my collection had increased and I had a bunch of the stuff, and they started coming out with records like this. But this is just so superior to the version of Odetta and the Blues that I had on Riverside that absolutely no complaints that I have it as the VMP version, which for me is my definitive version of it. And again, we're still getting the liner notes. Freddie Roach, Brown Sugar. Again, record, almost nothing about. Like my Felonious Monk, like what monk am I buying? Like what do I choose to actually add to my collection? It's just so overwhelming. So getting Monk's music this way, great. McCoy Tyner, Trident, same thing. Another legend, another artist that I should listen to a lot more. By having this in my collection, this is something that I will return to again and again because it's part of the VMP selection. Just like Numero, just like Criterion, just like all these other sort of not just collectible but curated series. This is the way for me into this music, which is great. Now this one's really wild, not something that I normally would have immediately picked up. But yeah, this Wynton Marsalis, Black Coats from the Underground, sort of a later period in 80s jazz. Still, even though it's gatefold, but again, we were getting the booklet. And right around here, so this is 76, Hound Dog, Taylor and the House Rockers, Natural Boogie. They did something I was actually really happy with. Instead of these little books, those little sort of, these tiny books, they went in this direction, which I thought was fabulous. I was super excited about this. So this is the way, like really beautiful, larger size, better images, like a 10-inch booklet. And I thought, if this is the way they're going, I am super excited. 100% worth re-signing up for. And yeah, this Hound Dog Taylor record sounds great, and the liner notes absolutely lovely. David Porter, Into a Real Thing. More Ryan Smith lacquer. Yeah, he certainly got his money's worth. We got our money's worth on Ryan Smith pressings thanks to this. Lovely gatefold. And Marquez and Booker T and the MGs back to back. Just like such a, for me, incredibly obscure record, and it's so phenomenally pressed. This sort of upside down way of like who's actually the headliner. Totally great. And then so we have this Hector Lavoe, and you're like, and the album's Comedia. I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't know. Give me something to listen to. I'm going to actually take a chance to listen to this. And it was not so tied to this, they started sort of moving away from some of the booklets, which was a little bit frustrating. These were still getting the large ones. But yeah, La Lupe, Queen of Latin Soul, Reina de la Canción Latina. Never in a trillion years would I pick this up, but it's actually a pretty slamming record. Really dug it a lot. Here's a super odd one, the Gary Barth's Another Earth. During the pagan hours of an otherwise uneventful Harlem pre-dawn in 1963, Gary Barth glimpsed a galactic mystery the conventional aeronautics could not explain. Yeah, just totally weird, spacey, wild jazz. Absolutely lovely. And yeah, does everybody have a copy of Silk and Soul? I think I even have an audiophile copy of this. But this particular version, again, they've changed yet again. It's the way that they're doing the sides. There's no longer the sticker. More Ryan Smith stuff. Some decent liner notes, all there on like a ridiculously classic album. Is this a sort of a double dip for me? Yeah, but I'm totally fine because it's all part of this particular series, and I will probably go to this. I have a whole slew of Nina Simone, but I'll probably go to this because it's in the VMP slate. Oliver Nelson with Eric Dolphy, Straight Ahead, another record that I know is a monster and just not the Oliver Nelson that I picked up. Again, still had the booklet at this point in time. And then we started getting in stuff like this. Yabba Dabba Doo is the first track on Don Blackman's Don Blackman. The P-Funk Empire is like a great lost civilization, not fully lost, of course. So this is like sort of tangentially part of the, or at least specifically part of the greater P-Funk universe. Totally wild stuff. Great cover. And yeah, there's this old record. A little touch of Smosin in the Night. So there's obviously the two Nilsson, Schmilson, but this is sort of another in addition to that, one that people wouldn't necessarily always pick up. Really, really lovely. Alice Coltrane, Transfiguration. More Alice Coltrane, more celebration of this giant AAA by Ryan Smith, as per usual. I'll do this so they don't fall. Teo Macero with the Prestige Jazz Quartet. Teo. And again, this one came with the booklet. Junior Wells, It's My Life, Baby. Listening Notes booklet by Dr. Francesca T. Royster. And right about here, this was a weird one. So this is, what are we at? We're at 89. We got the Eastern Moods of Ahmed Abdul Malik. This is right about the time that they basically, we've got hints that things weren't going great, and they stopped giving us booklets. What they did do, and it was weird because I actually threw these out, is we got these sort of, printed, I guess all in one. I guess this was their way. And in some of these, they actually have what would have been liner notes, essentially. But even, like, just the jump between these two. Okay, so this is beautiful tip-on jacket, Junior Wells, really nice with the thing on the side. And by the time we got to this, the jacket itself is just much thinner. The actual quality of the actual packaging diminished. The record's fine. I don't know the record very well at all, but again, a nice addition. Ahmed Abdul Malik, The Eastern Moods of Ahmed Abdul Malik. When it was originally released, this album did not sell well. What you're holding now is once confusing, maybe a little unmarketable, but you're also holding a tiny piece of the sacred. I mean, it's a nice thing to do, but yeah, this is where we started to see that they were cutting a few corners. Bill Frisell's Have a Little Faith. Again, great record, still on gatefold, but no liner notes. They sort of stopped doing that and started doing them just in the booklet. This is Jimmy Scott's Falling in Love is Wonderful. A great cover, but just the actual sleeves themselves a little bit thinner than they used to be. I mean, you can tell just the way that it wraps. It's no longer thick even on singles. And then we have this, the Swamp Boogie Queen. This is 92. Katie Webster's The Swamp Boogie Queen on the release. And this was the last one I received. So essentially what happens is if you look at the Bill Frisell, it actually says VMP Classics at the bottom. All of these have that. See, VMP Classics. And it's right around this time that they basically split off they truncated a bunch of stuff. They got rid of some of their elements, and it started being VMP Blues, VMP Jazz, and that's sort of the route that they were going to go. They were still numbered there. It still is VMP C091 and 092, but we knew that things were sort of going into a different direction. And now here I am, missing out on the sort of last two that were announced. We'll see if I ever get them. But these 92 records, these 92 titles, are a graduate level course into this type of music. I am so thrilled that these are part of my music collection. These are ones that I will cherish as long as I listen to this stuff. It's so fantastic. The box sets, I mean, it's a whole nother conversation to go into, but I do want to sort of quickly go through some of the additional ones, the ones that I sort of bought from outside the normal VMP. I'm not going to go through everything that I have that's ever been bought by a VMP. A lot of that's actually sorted by artists, but some of these I think are very integral to any music collection. Okay, here's a bunch of other records that I sort of have in my collection, almost entirely because they're VMP. I was able, because I was a subscriber, to actually be able to go in and order as part of my shipping. So I got a little bit of a discount, but I was getting stuff, especially from the States, as essentially free shipping. And that was such a big deal for a lot of these records. Here's one that, is just an absolute classic, and something that, because I knew they had done a really good job, I wanted to pick up. AAA lacquers, once again, this time by Kevin Gray at Coherent. Buck Owens and his Buckaroos, the Carnegie Hall Concert, one of the definitive country records of all time. I don't have a lot of actually legit country stuff, and so this one was a recent addition when they actually had, I guess, not that long ago, they had an anniversary sale, and they were blowing a bunch of stuff out. Now, in retrospect, that obviously was a sign of things to come, of getting rid of a bunch of stuff. But it did allow me to pick this record up inexpensively. This is such a big deal for me. I love this record so much. Again, it's part of the country slate. This is CW13. Joshua Judge's Ruth by Lyle Lovett. This is an incredible sounding record. I have the 5.1, the DVD audio of it, that I listen to a lot. But to have this on vinyl is such a big deal. This is one of my go-to test records now. Love this record, love this pressing. And here we are, Bill Brunzi. Bill Brunzi Sings Folk Songs, volumes 38, from Smithsonian Folkways. I mean, this is a very, very early on a part of their series, like the original look. This might have been one of the classics that I actually neglected. It gets, it's VMP volume 038. So this is a misfiled version of the classics that should have been in there. I will set that up. Here's an Essential 72, this Mavis Staples record. Stunning record. Absolutely wild. Yeah, this guy. So this is a let's step up. My relationship with hip hop at the best of times is a little bit challenging, especially since I really grew disinterested right after this era. And while I liked this record, this wasn't one that I picked up. But subsequently, I grew a real fondness, a real appreciation for what they were doing, their inclusion of jazz and the types of things that they sampled. Obviously, Schoolhouse Rock, as we reference again, is a lovely colored vinyl version of it. But the big deal of this is that they finally re-released it in vinyl and actually had to either change the samples or actually replace them with different instrumental versions. So this is actually one of the last ways of actually getting the original mix, and the pressing on this is actually exceptional, in some ways better than the original pressings that were done at the time. Real important record as part of my collection. A Coal Miner's Daughter, right? So it should be a dollar bin record in a lot of ways, and yet this is such a stunning accomplishment. I knew I was going to get essentially a pristine, beautifully mastered, first official vinyl reissue in over 30 years. Ryan Smith again doing a job. It's not AAA, but remastered from the original tapes. Loretta Lynn. This Experience Unlimited is interesting because I've actually bought this now a couple times. I bought it and then I accidentally bought it again. I have one for sale if you want. But just a total wild thing. And so this is a good example where stuff that was absolutely in my wheelhouse that maybe could have been on classics was on essentials instead, like the Mavis Staples. And so I had the ability, as a collector, as a member rather, in order to go to the other series and actually pick some of this stuff up. Yeah, so this one's wild. Soft Bolton with Lenticular. Ooh. By Flaming Lips. This is an interesting one. I picked it up because I really love this record, but I almost always listen to this record on DVD audio. And I have to give this another shot in stereo, but I'm missing so much. This is such a avant-garde surround mix that it almost feels small to listen to it on vinyl. This is a really interesting one. I'm likely to keep it because it's the kind of thing that I do, but nonetheless, it's a record that just reminds me about how much I love another mix. Very interesting. As opposed to I Love It, which I really love the stereo mix and I love the 5/1 mix, depending on mood. And on vinyl, it just sounds unbelievably good. Certainly a less obnoxious, beautifully obnoxious mix in surround. I showed this before, but this is Belladonna Stevie Nicks. I hadn't had a copy of this. This is their exclusive vinyl, AAA lacquer. Beautiful sounding version of this record. Again, lovely version of Aretha's Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. AAA on this beautiful pattern. Just absolutely fantastic. And again, Essentials number 84. Absolutely something that for me is essential, despite the fact that I was doing the C series, not the E series. Another one. This is my vinyl copy of Buena Vista Social Club. There are, so how does it describe it? Yeah, so it is classic mastering. It's really hard to see right there. Classic Grammy awarding newly cut lacquers by original mastering engineer Bernie Grunman. And this is their exclusive first vinyl release. There is the 45 RPM. I am almost considering getting it. We will see. But yeah, again, I have I guess it's an SCC or DVD audio of this with the surround mix of it, and normally I listen to that, but this is a beautiful, beautiful record. One that it's very, I was played so often, it's sort of easy to take for granted, but it's just an exquisite example of all the son and all the other music that was actually coming out historically out of Cuba and then actually captured amazingly well. Here's an interesting one, Erykah Badu, again, part of the Essential series. A record that, I was actually gifted this one, but it's a record that I didn't know very well at all. The Soul Aquarians, all that stuff that we learn about sort of subsequently, it's all here. The lacquers are cut by Barry Grint at Alchemy Masters in London. Here's a new name for us. Really strong record, really beautiful sounding record. Not one that I necessarily would have rushed out to get, but the fact that it was gifted to me and the fact that it was VMP, it's a very, very big deal. Check this out. Check your head, Beastie Boys, right? So again, a lot of the hip hop stuff, particularly at this time, was not stuff that I rushed out to get at the time, but sort of retroactively going to pick up. And this Beastie Boys record has some pretty amazing stuff on it. And this pressing is very, very, very good. Meters, Rejuvenation, E108. Love the Meters. And this is an incredible pressing of this amazing, amazing record. Rambling Jack Elliott. This is Country and Western 29. So this is one of their split offs when they started doing country. And this particular Rambling Jack record is one of the ones I got when we could buy 10. I accidentally got 2 of them because I'm an idiot. I actually paid for it twice. But nonetheless, baby blue vinyl version of this fantastically classic record from the era. We have Herbie Hancock's Sextant. Like a monster Herbie track, obviously. This is Essentials 132. It sort of goes very nicely with my Herbie box set. AAA Lacquers Kept from Taste by Ryan Smith of Sterling Sound. We have this, Fear of a Black Planet, the Public Enemy record. Again, this is the part of the rap and hip hop series that they did. And there was a couple of these sort of absolute definitive records in the era that I thought were worth picking up, and this is one that I managed to snag. Here is Willie Nelson, Shotgun Willie. So this is part of that. You see that this one actually came with a booklet similar to that. It's this really nice sort of smoke vinyl. It's actually Andrew Winstorfer who did the liner notes on this, the way that he did for so many of them on the actual classic series. And yeah, if I'm going to have a copy of Shotgun Willie, this was the one that I knew I needed to have in my collection. And then finally, this is the last one I just got. This actually just came not that long ago. with my last order. This may be the last one that I ever get. But this is one of their standalone releases. This is Isaac Hayes' Black Moses, AAA lacquers cut from the master tapes by Ryan Smith, pressed on 2 blue vinyl, and you can see our man Isaac doing what he does. It's beautiful, and this is a stunning version of Black Moses. We have the box sets, we have the elements, we have all of these discs. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of records in their collection. Considering many of these are gatefolds, I have at least 250 records here, just part of the VMP thing. I, for one, celebrate what I got out of being a member of VMP. It's as simple as that. It was a very long celebration, but I hope you enjoyed the sort of ride down through their collection. We'll see if the last two sort of show up or if they continue. If they continue, I know there will be a challenge to actually get. There's a lot of stores now, even locally here in Canada, that are actually getting some of these through distributors. I think that you're going to actually see the warehouse sort of opened up as they actually try to reclaim some of their funds. We'll see how it all takes place. But I am here to stand on the shoulders of all of these people that put this together. I think that on a fundamental basis, when it came down to it, despite what happened, there were many people that truly, truly loved music, that present tense, that put all this together and actually made these releases and made them the best that they could. They didn't always 100% succeed. They didn't get everything they wanted. But between sometimes the community engagement wasn't quite at what it should be. Sometimes it was exceptional. Sometimes customer service was crap. Sometimes it was almost immediate. It came and went with their different eras. But I will have records that I cherish as long as I listen to music, thanks to this amazing, amazing collection. And I, for one, am going to celebrate them long before I get annoyed about their downfall. For thatshelf.com, I'm Jason Gorber. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about VMP, what their collections have meant to you on your journey for actually building up your record collection. I would love to hear from you. Please, it's videos like this. If you got to the end, thank you. Let me know in the comments you actually got to the end. That would actually mean a lot to me. Please subscribe. Please ring the bell. It really, really helps our channel a lot. And we will see you next video. All the best. Take care.